You have $100 million. Nobody knows. This is life as a hidden billionaire. You have just opened your eyes in a house that looks like every other house on the street. The paint is a little faded. The lawn is decent, but not perfect. The mailbox has your name on it, spelled the same way it has been spelled your entire life. Your neighbor waves at you from across the road, the same tired wave he gives everyone, because to him you are just another person heading to work on a Tuesday morning. He has no idea that you have $100 million sitting quietly across accounts, trusts, and holdings that almost nobody on earth knows exist. You have built a life that looks completely ordinary from the outside, and that is not an accident. That is the entire plan. You have learned, sometimes the hard way, that the moment people find out what you have, everything around you starts to shift. Conversations change. Smiles change. Even the way people stand near you changes. So you have decided the safest kind of wealth is wealth that stays invisible. You have a morning routine that would bore anyone watching. You have coffee in a plain mug. You have a car in the driveway that is reliable but unremarkable. Nothing that would make a stranger glance twice. You have clothes that are comfortable, not flashy. Every part of this is intentional. You have realized that the fastest way to lose your peace is to let your lifestyle broadcast what your bank accounts already whisper. You have people around you who still think you are just getting by, just like they are. You have old friends who still ask if you can cover half the bill at dinner, and you have learned to say yes without hesitation, because paying attention to a habit like that is part of keeping your secret intact. You have family members who complain about rising prices, and you have learned to nod along, to share in the frustration. Even though you have more money than most towns will ever collectively hold, you have a team behind the scenes that most people would never guess exists. You have a private accountant who reports only to you, never to anyone else, and who has been trained to keep every document quiet. You have lawyers who you have mostly never met in person, because everything moves through secure channels, through structures built specifically to keep your name away from public searches. You have offshore entities, not because you have anything illegal to hide, but because you have learned that privacy itself has become a kind of currency in your world. You have to think about every single purchase differently than most people do. A brand new luxury car draws attention. A mansion draws attention. Even something as small as an expensive watch can draw attention if you are standing in the wrong room with the wrong people. So you have trained yourself, almost like a discipline, to blend into any environment you walk into. You have practiced ordering the cheaper item on the menu, even when you could buy the entire restaurant. You have practiced laughing at jokes about tight budgets, even though budgets stopped being a real concern for you years ago. You have relationships that carry a weight most people will never understand. You have to decide, carefully, who gets to know the truth about your life. Maybe your spouse knows everything. Maybe your closest sibling knows nothing at all. You have watched, from a distance, what happens to people the moment their wealth becomes public. Friends start treating them like a wallet instead of a person. Family members start showing up only when they need something. Strangers start appearing out of nowhere with business plans, sob stories, and requests dressed up as friendship. You have decided that some relationships are worth protecting by keeping them in the dark. Not because you do not trust these people, but because you love them enough to want at least a few connections in your life that have nothing to do with money. You have a strange kind of freedom that exists right alongside a strange kind of prison. You have the freedom to fund almost any dream you can imagine. You have the freedom to never again lie awake, worrying about a medical bill, a mortgage payment, or a sudden emergency. But you also have the prison of silence. You cannot celebrate a huge investment win out loud. You cannot show up to a family gathering in anything that hints at your real financial reality. You cannot even fully relax at times because you know that one slip, one careless comment, one photograph in the wrong place could unravel years of careful planning in a single afternoon. You have learned to invest in ways that never scream wealth to the outside world. You have real estate tucked inside private trusts instead of your own name. Businesses that are run entirely through management companies, where your signature never appears on public paperwork. You have learned that true financial privacy is not about doing anything illegal. It is about structuring everything so carefully, so legally, and so quietly that your identity simply never needs to surface. You have moments, usually late at night, when you sit alone with your laptop and look at numbers that would shock almost anyone you know. In those moments you have felt something most people will never experience, a complete and total sense of security. You have no debt collector who can ever threaten you. You have no job loss that could break you. You have no single emergency that could bury your family. You have built an invisible fortress, brick by brick, decision by decision, and the fact that nobody can see it from the outside is exactly the point. You have had to be careful even with generosity. You have learned that giving too openly invites questions about where the money actually came from. So you have found quieter ways to give. You have anonymous donations that never carry your name. You have foundations set up specifically so that your identity stays hidden even from the people receiving your help. You have realized that doing good does not require public recognition, and in many ways, doing good quietly feels more honest than doing it for an audience. You have thought seriously about what happens after you are gone. You have wills prepared with extreme precision. You have trusts structured so that even after your death, the secret can either remain hidden or be revealed exactly the way you want it to be, on your terms and nobody else's. You have control over your own story that stretches beyond your own lifetime, which is something very few people ever get to say about their finances. You have watched other wealthy people make the opposite choice, the choice to live loudly. And you have studied what happened to them. You have seen mansions turn into targets. You have seen public wealth turn family members against each other over inheritance, long before anyone has actually died. You have seen strangers track down addresses, show up uninvited, and treat visible wealth like an open invitation. Watching all of this from a safe distance has only confirmed what you already believed, that silence is not weakness, silence is strategy. You have to manage your emotions differently than most people too. You have learned to sit through conversations about financial stress without flinching, without offering unsolicited advice, without accidentally revealing that you understand these problems only in theory now, not in daily practice. You have learned patience in rooms where people complain about things that no longer touch your life, because you know that empathy does not require shared circumstances, only shared humanity. You have systems in place for almost every situation you can imagine. You have emergency protocols if your identity is ever exposed. You have secondary accounts, secondary identities for paperwork, and secondary properties that could absorb attention if the primary ones were ever compromised. You have thought through scenarios that most people never have to think about. Kidnapping risk, extortion risk, sudden lawsuits from people looking for a payout. You have insurance against all of it, quietly arranged, quietly funded, quietly maintained. You have learned that trust is the most expensive thing you own, more expensive even than the $100 million itself. You have a small circle, maybe 3 or 4 people in the entire world, who know the full truth about your financial life. You have chosen them, not because they are perfect, but because you have tested them over years, in small ways, before ever trusting them with something this large. You have learned that real trust is built slowly, through pattern and consistency, never through a single dramatic reveal. You have days where the secret feels heavy, where you wish you could simply tell someone new, someone exciting, someone who might understand the full weight of what you carry. But you have also learned that the moment shared, the moment spoken out loud to the wrong person, cannot be taken back. So you have practiced restraint as if it were a muscle, strengthening it every single day, treating discretion as a skill rather than a burden. You have watched younger relatives grow up completely unaware of what you have. You have paid for their education quietly, funneled through scholarships or family trusts that never reveal the true source. You have watched them believe they earned every opportunity purely through merit, and in many ways they have. But you have also quietly removed obstacles from their path without ever taking credit for it. You have found a strange kind of joy in helping people without needing them to know you were the one who helped. You have had to think about geography differently, too. You have chosen where to live not based on status, but based on privacy. You have avoided neighborhoods known for wealth, because those neighborhoods attract exactly the kind of attention you have spent years avoiding. You have chosen ordinary towns, ordinary streets, ordinary schools, because you have understood that visibility is often the enemy of security. You have relationships with your money itself that most people would find unusual. You have stopped seeing it as something to display and started seeing it purely as a tool, a quiet force working in the background of your life. You have automated much of your investing so that you rarely need to check accounts daily. You have built systems that grow your wealth passively while you focus on living a life that looks, from the outside, remarkably simple. You have had conversations with financial advisors who specialize entirely in privacy, people whose full job is to help wealthy individuals disappear from public records while still legally controlling every asset they own. You have learned terms most people never encounter: blind trusts, nominee structures, layered holding companies, all designed for one single purpose: to keep your name as far from your money as legally possible. You have thought about what would happen if your children ever found out too early in life. You have decided to delay the full truth until they have developed their own sense of identity, their own work ethic, their own values, separate from the knowledge that a fortune is waiting for them. You have watched other wealthy families struggle when children learn about money too young, and you have chosen a slower, more careful path, revealing pieces of the truth only when you believe they are ready to handle it responsibly. You have moments of quiet gratitude that most people will never fully understand. You have looked at your family sleeping peacefully at night and realized that no matter what happens in the economy, no matter what crisis unfolds in the news, your household is protected in a way that feels almost surreal. You have built a version of safety that operates completely outside of luck, outside of chance, outside of the unpredictable nature most people live inside every single day. You have also had to build habits around technology that most people never think twice about. You have separate devices for separate parts of your life, one phone for the ordinary world and another, far more secure, for anything touching your real finances. You have learned to avoid location tagging, to avoid careless posts, to avoid even innocent photos that might reveal a background detail, an address, a view, a logo. Anything that a determined stranger could use to trace your real identity back to your real fortune. You have thought about the internet as one of the greatest threats to your privacy, more dangerous in some ways than any single person. You have learned that data brokers collect and sell information constantly, that public records can be searched by anyone with enough patience, that even small digital footprints can be stitched together into a much larger picture. So you have paid quietly to have your information removed from as many databases as possible, and you have kept your online presence deliberately thin, deliberately boring, deliberately forgettable. You have had to think about travel differently too. You have avoided private jets when discretion matters more than comfort, choosing instead ordinary commercial flights, blending into crowded terminals like anyone else. You have booked hotels under quieter arrangements when needed, and you have avoided flaunting destinations that might raise questions about how you can possibly afford them. You have learned that even a vacation photo, posted carelessly, can become a thread that someone eventually pulls until the whole story unravels. You have found that the hardest part of this life is not managing the money itself. That part became simple years ago. The hardest part is managing the silence day after day, year after year, without ever letting it slip, without ever growing so comfortable that you forget the discipline that protects everything you have built. You have learned that maintaining a secret this large requires constant, quiet vigilance, the kind that never fully turns off. You have thought often about the psychological weight of this double life, and you have made peace with it in your own way. You have accepted that some forms of loneliness come with extraordinary privilege, and you have decided that trade is worth making. You have found peace, not in constant celebration of what you have, but in the quiet, steady comfort of knowing your family will never face the fears that keep most people awake at night. You have realized, after all these years, something that most people never get the chance to learn firsthand. Money itself does not change who you are as a person. What changes is how the world treats you the instant it discovers what you have. And so you have made your choice, deliberately, carefully, and permanently. You have chosen the quiet path, not because you are ashamed of your success, but because you have understood, deeply and personally, that peace is worth more than recognition ever could be. You have $100 million. Nobody around you truly knows. And for you, that silence is not a burden you carry reluctantly. It is the greatest luxury that money has ever been able to buy you, greater than any house, any car, or any headline could ever provide. You have learned to measure success differently than the rest of the world does. Most people measure success by what others can see: the car in the driveway, the size of the house, the vacations posted online. You have measured your success by what nobody can see at all: the debts that do not exist, the fears that do not visit you at night, the freedom that quietly surrounds every decision you make. You have realized that the most valuable form of wealth is the kind that never needs an audience to feel real. You have understood, finally, that being a hidden billionaire is not about deception for its own sake. It is about protection, about intention, about choosing exactly how and when the truth of your life gets revealed, if it ever does at all. You have built something rare in this world, a fortune that serves you quietly, faithfully, and completely, without ever asking you to perform it for anyone else. You have thought, more than once, about writing everything down someday, a private record for your children, explaining every decision, every structure, every reason behind the silence. You have wanted them to understand that hiding wealth was never about dishonesty. It was about protecting the people you love from a world that often treats visible money as an invitation for chaos. You have wanted your story to eventually make sense to the people closest to you, even if the rest of the world never learns it at all. You have come to see this life as a kind of quiet mastery, not over money itself, but over impulse, over ego, over the very human desire to be seen and admired. You have resisted that desire again and again, choosing instead a life of calm, careful invisibility. You have found that this restraint, more than the money itself, has become the true measure of your discipline. You have $100 million. Nobody knows. And that, more than any number on any account, is the real story of your life. A life built not on display but on depth, not on recognition, but on quiet, unshakable peace.